Hi, beautifuls. Welcome back to Women, Wine and Wisdom. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Naomi.
And today we're going to be talking about dating mistakes.
Ooh, this is going to be juicy.
Naomi, please introduce our wine, our Pinot Grigio.
Pressure. What wine have we got here? So today we've got a Vitalita Pinot Grigio 2021. Where is it from?
Italy?
Italy.
Yeah.
It is. So have a little look. So make sure you tune in, guys, to the rest of the show to hear our feedback on this wine. So let me get into pouring.
Do the honours. Thank you. So
I love that little crack, that little when you open a fresh new bottle.
I'm going to stop saying I don't like white wine. I have to admit, it's actually growing on me now.
You see?
So yeah, I'm going to stop saying that.
We're kind of like, expanding your taste palette.
And I'm here for it. I love new experiences, so I'm here for it.
Amazing.
So we're going to jump right in. So I feel like this is a topic that a lot of women are going to be interested in. Yes. And obviously, we've all dated,
Yeah.
What are some of the key things? And I think the important thing is we're talking from experience, but also from other people's experience and advice we've got from other men.
Yeah.
So again, I have 3 brothers, so yeah. So it's going to be really interesting, and hopefully you guys enjoy. So do you have a dating mistake? Like, what's number 1 for you? Actually, not necessarily number 1, but let's get flowing.
I think one thing that I've realised as I've gotten older is definitely finding somebody who is intentional.
Yes, talk about it. I always say that.
Listen, can we just say that word one more time?
Intentional.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I feel like when you're dating without intent and you're just kind of like roaming the road and you're just like, oh, do you know what? That boy looks cute. Let me just get into a relationship with him.
Sit.
It's so like, it makes all the difference. Like, you need to be with somebody who really has intention. If your purpose is to, I don't know, say buy a property in the next couple of years or, start a family in the next couple of years, you want to be able to date somebody who is on that same wavelength as you. Not just somebody who's a kind of a dreamer, but somebody who
pet peeve, you already know it.
But somebody who genuinely has the intent of being with you and progressively getting to that what you two want to get to. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And following on from that point, because I always talk about dating with intention. So for me personally, just to follow on, I feel like a lot of women date for attention and the attention that the man is giving them, as opposed to the intention of the man.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all like to look cute. Yeah, we all like attention. But the thing is, we have to love ourselves more than the attention.
Yeah.
And obviously date him for his intentions. And the only way you're going to figure out his intentions is if you ask some questions, darling. Ask him some questions, because when a lot of us, we shy away from asking and we don't get answers.
Yeah.
And then a couple months down the line, you want to be shocked.
Yeah. And
so
there's actually a book called 101 Questions to Ask Before Getting Married.
Yes.
And I think people should actually read that book. We'll link it in the description.
And we should definitely do a topic on it.
Yeah, 100%. It's actually quite amazing. We'll bring guys on for that. That'd be quite interesting. But 101 questions to ask before getting married is a very interesting one. And I don't think a lot of people need to actually read it just before they're getting married. I think you can actually read it prior to, getting married and at the dating stages. It's really insightful. It gives you lots of different questions to ask, like, what is your disciplining style when it comes to raising kids, for example, which may not necessarily be a question that you think to ask when you first start talking to somebody, but it is, those kind of things are quite important. And if you're dating someone with intention, then you want to ask these kind of questions. Absolutely. You want to be able to understand, like, what kind of parenting style is yours. Is it beaten? Is it face the wall? Is it hold the yellow pages above your head? It's those kind of things. You kind of want to make sure that you're trying to establish what their intention is behind dating you and vice versa, and make sure that you're both aligned. So definitely asking questions is a good one.
And again, following on from that, we are all raised differently. So cultural aspects of it really make a difference in how you raise your kids, how you deal with finances, how you deal with financial disputes. So for example, in the Nigerian culture, there's a lot of getting the family involved, whereas in other cultures, that doesn't happen at all. Yeah. So again, it's really, really important what you just said.
So what about you? What are some of your dating mistakes that you feel are things that you have learned since growing up?
It's interesting. So I'm going to talk about one that actually we both got told recently, which is really funny because we were at dinner and we got a phone call. Actually, we called him actually to ask a question. Yeah. And one thing that women do that men don't do is women date to eliminate and men date to accumulate.
Talk about it.
So that's actually advice from a man. So apparently us women feel like we can always make the best decisions when men approach us. So ladies, the question we got asked was, if 20 men approached you, what would you do? And we both said we would do a process of elimination. But he said what a man would do is the complete opposite in terms of he would date all 20 of them and figure out where to go from there. Yeah. So basically he said, date them all, sis.
That's greedy.
It is greedy.
But it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
And one thing just following on from that though is when you date one person and you give him all your attention, as women, we're emotional creatures. So the likelihood of us liking that person is a lot higher.
Absolutely.
Whereas if it's a man, it might not necessarily be that way because they're less emotional than we are.
Yeah.
So that is one piece of advice. And that's from a man, by the way. That is not from me. So just so you know. From me, what I would say is go into a relationship or go into dating whole. So I feel like a lot of us go into certain situations thinking this person is going to complete me. No, baby.
Absolutely.
You need to be complete on your own.
Oh, can you just reload it? Just reload it a little bit.
You need to be complete on your own. I'm going to give you 100% and I need you to give me 100%. 100%. We can't be two halves.
Yeah. 100% agree with that.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing. And again, a lot of women do that. We carry heartbreak from previous relationships into the next one. We carry, for example, childhood traumas into the next one. And we need to kind of heal, whether that means talking to your friends or family, addressing situations head on, going to therapy. It really depends on how you need to heal, whether it's time, but take that time for yourself, figure out what makes you whole, as opposed to thinking this man or this partner is going to complete me.
100%. And just to piggyback off of that, you know, I say it so many times and a lot of people that know me know I'm a big advocate for this, but thrive in your singleness.
Yeah, you always say this. You always say this. You do. You do.
You need to thrive in your singleness. You need to really know who you are. Take that time whilst you're single to really enjoy being you. Take yourself on holiday. Take yourself to dinner. Take yourself to the movies. Learn to enjoy your own company. Learn to know who you are. Learn to know what your dislikes are, what your likes are, and just try to, you know, make sure, like Jimmy says, you're whole in who you are. So then when you're approaching a relationship, you're not looking at a relationship for, you know, I'm looking to take, I don't know, like I'm lonely at the moment. So I'm just going to go into this relationship to deal with my loneliness. No. You should be going into the relationship with not looking for somebody to be your Netflix and chill buddy, but somebody who's going to, you know, bring value to you, grow you, you know. Yeah, so 100%.
Yeah.
Thriving your singleness.
I like that saying, thriving your singleness. Yeah, because I feel like you said, in order to be in a relationship, you need to be able to tell that person what it is that you like, what it is that you want to do, what you expect, your boundaries and things like that. So yeah. One other thing that I just mentioned is stick to your boundaries. Stick to your boundaries. I feel like sometimes we go into dating and we're like, oh, but he's so cute and, you know, he did this. And then all of a sudden your boundaries start to drop. No.
Yep.
Men respect boundaries.
Yeah.
Partners respect boundaries. And once you have them in place, they're there to protect you.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a thing that I would say. Keep your boundaries. If you need to be in bed by 10 o'clock, take yourself to bed by 10 o'clock. Yeah. Don't be talking till 5 a.m. Let me not pretend I ain't done that before. But do you know what I mean? Don't be talking till 5 a.m. because it's basically just showing that you're willing to compromise on your boundaries. Yeah. If you say you don't Netflix and chill, then don't Netflix and chill. Yeah. For example, we're going to talk about this as well because obviously we mentioned it, I think in episode 2 about the coffee date. And you were saying that like a lot of women would have missed their mark with that. And it's funny because I know who you're talking about and he's great. But for example, I might have been one of those women that would have missed their mark with that because, for example, I'm not leaving my house in -3 to go for coffee. I have a coffee machine at home. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So like, but that's just me. But I would have done a light lunch. Do you get what I mean? And that would just be my own personal boundary. So again, if whatever your boundary is, I feel like you shouldn't really compromise on them really.
No.
You go to him saying, this is my boundaries, and a man that respects you will respect those boundaries.
Yeah. I mean, going off of what you were saying about the coffee date.
Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, I love coffee.
So do I.
So I don't mind if a guy wanted to approach me and say, "Oh, should we go for coffee?"
Yeah.
Just to get to know each other better.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to that, because I think for me, the getting to know is the important thing. And so whether it be wine or coffee, I'm not too fussed, so long as, you know, we can actually spend time getting to know each other, even if it's like sitting on a park bench and we're just sitting there talking. Because ultimately, if you're dating somebody, you want to be able to date them in any capacity. They should be your best friend. There should be that foundation, and so that getting to know aspect and element should be present, and should be you know, something that we can kind of like, you know, establish right from the jump. And then, you know, it makes everything so much more fun, because once you can build that foundation of friendship and over coffee, let's say, I mean, it's got to be a good coffee shop, let me not lie.
Okay, but so exactly, and again, so I would go to a coffee date if it was a good coffee shop, and again, like I said, it was a light lunch. I wouldn't go for coffee. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just for me, because again, it sets a tone. It's like, as your friend actually said, it's like going to a date, for example, with no makeup on, because you want to see if the guy's gonna like you for who you are. I 100% believe in friends. And again, if you know me personally, you will obviously know that I'm one of those people. Date your best friend. Life is so much more fun when you're dating your friends.
Yeah.
But again, some people be like, no, I can never date my friend.
No. Date your best friend. I mean, with reason. Because I do have male friends that I wouldn't date, but that's because I know me. I know who I am. Yeah. And knowing who I am, it means that I have a good sense of idea of who would be right for me. Yeah. So, you know, but yeah, I respect my friends, but you know, you lot just stay there.
So obviously, in regards to what's right for you, what are some of those things that if you're dating, what would you look for in terms of what's right for you?
So definitely somebody who can challenge me. Absolutely. Somebody who adds value to my life. Like, I can't be with somebody who is just a lazy person who just talks the talk but doesn't walk the walk. Yeah. You better walk that walk.
Yeah.
I can't be with someone who's not a doer.
I cannot be with somebody who's not a doer. I just can't.
100%. So, you know, and I think a lot of the times, because sometimes when you are dating someone, you won't see them in their full potential. You'll see them kind of like on the rise, on the come up. And I'm sure you mentioned like something about like it's all about his habits, right? It's 100%. All about his habits 100%. And what he's doing. So ultimately it's, you know, what is he doing to try to take me, you know, what is he doing on a daily basis to help him get from A to B? And if I could see certain habits, if I could see him making the efforts and not just making excuses and being negative. Oh, negativity, let me tell you, I don't play with that.
Let's cheers to that.
Let me just.
Let's cheers to that.
I don't play with negativity. I don't play with somebody who is just negative, wants to bring you down. Like, you know, you're trying to be on your come up, on your grind, and they're just like, why are you doing that? Or like, they're just being miserable about it. And you're just like.
But again, this goes back to what we were talking about in episode 2. Because if a man doesn't feel like he's manning, quotation mark, you're going to have these issues anyway.
No, 100%. But that's why you have to also know it's all about intention and talking about these things right from the cuff, like asking these questions at the beginning of dating. It is so important, because if you don't establish these things and then later down the line, you know, you're finding out that like he actually doesn't want a woman who's going to be successful and thriving, you're going to bump into a lot of issues and you're definitely going to have arguments. So if you don't eliminate those things at the beginning and start talking about those things right from the cuff, you're going to walk into a lot of issues. But yeah.
Okay. Another thing that I think could be quite interesting, and this could be quite controversial, because women, we tend to ignore our friends' advice and do our own thing.
100%.
But sometimes we can't see what they can see.
Yes.
So obviously take it with a pinch of salt, because some women are haters, let's be honest. Yeah. However, at the same time, do listen to what your friends have to say, because sometimes you can't see things that they can see. Yeah. Do you see what I mean?
100%. Let me just piggyback off of that, because I believe in having accountability people in your life.
Yes, talk about it. Me and my brother, my little brother, we do this every... listen, Wednesday and Friday, have you done what you said you're going to do?
Yes.
Have you been to the gym this week? Is that money being made this week? Yeah, 100%.
I've got a group chat literally just for accountability. But, I mean, I have accountability people for different things in my life. Ooh,
same.
Nearly knocked out my mic. But one of my accountability... I have somebody who I go to for... advice when it comes to like relationships or, and that person knows me.
Yeah.
That person really knows me. But we're going to continue on with the accountability people. We're just going to take a quick stop and review our wine.
Okay.
Wine o'clock.
Yes, talk about it. Okay. I'm going to let you have a sip.
Okay.
And then,
let's have a little sip.
A little smell, a little sip. I quite like this wine.
Okay.
Yeah, I quite like it. If I had to give it an overall rating, I would give it an 8.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I would give it an 8. I like the fact that it starts off a little bit bitter, but then it's a bit sweet. So it starts off bitter, and then I get that sweet kick.
Just have another sip.
Yeah, at the end. Do you get it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I quite like that. So I don't really like things that are so sweet, but this is like the right amount for me.
Okay. What would you pair it with?
Something light. So summer's day, maybe some fish as well, chilling in the garden, that type of vibe. This is it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
So this wine, and by the way, guys, you probably noticed that I went from this to this. Jimmy's actually holding the glass in the right way. I'm holding it like a bushwoman. If you hold your glass like this when you're drinking white wine, you will warm up the drink, and it's meant to be served chilled. So I'm a bushwoman, so I might just go back up here. But
it's funny because I'm 100% sure, in some of the episodes you're definitely holding it.
I am, because I'm just because
She's
I'm
a
clumsy.
typical Nigerian woman.
It'll just trip. So, but how would I rate this? I'd probably give it more like a 6.
Interesting.
I'd give it a 6.
Okay.
For me, I mean, it's okay. Like you mentioned, it does give you that kind of bitter taste initially, but then it kind of goes a little bit like sweet. But it is quite crisp. Not but it's, I don't know. For me, it's a little bit, you know, when you get that little in the back of your, like, here.
Okay, is that because, do you like sweet things or do you like...
I like it a bit more smooth.
Okay.
Like, so...
It's the eyes for me.
But like, listen, I told you I talk with my eyes.
It's the eyes for me, but yeah.
I talk with my eyes. But so I don't know. For me, it's a bit of it's a 6. It's an easy drink to drink though. And I'd probably have it with like, maybe like salad or like fish. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go in the middle. Let's give it an overall rating of a 7. Because I said 8, you said 6. So I feel like 7's a good average.
Okay. So it's a 7.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Let me even check if I've got anything else.
Oh, well, I was going to pick back up on the accountability bit.
Go ahead.
So with having an accountability partner, especially in relationships, like if, say, for example, you got a partner and you both get into an argument.
Yeah.
And naturally, what forms an argument is 2 disagreements. So 2 people that have 2 opposing opinions about one particular situation. So I would go to my accountability partner and say, so... this is the situation, this is the scenario, what do you think? And this is how I reacted, and this is how they reacted.
Okay.
That accountability person, typically I think you should go for somebody who isn't related to you, because if I go to my mum, she's just going to be like, what kind of and
do you think so?
Well, sometimes I feel like at this point, she's just like, please, can you just behave yourself? But
see, my mum is so honest. Like, she will, if I'm in the wrong, she will let me know.
I get that. And to be honest, my mum is very honest. Like, she'll tell me about myself, but still, she is my mother. And so she'll always have my best interest at heart. And 100%. I feel like a lot of the I think if you're going to get somebody who's accountable to you, especially in a relationship, you want somebody who's going to have an unbiased opinion, because you want them to kind of sit in between both of you. So I don't feel like somebody who's related to you is always going to be the best option, unless you both agree that that person is suitable is the best person for it. So if your partner also agrees, like, do you know what? Yeah, your mum isn't impartial. I think she would probably be the best person.
That's really interesting.
Because I think, like...
because I completely disagree.
So I believe that. Because I feel like sometimes some people... and I think it depends, because your mum might be very different to somebody else's mum.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Yeah. And that's why I disagree.
Because like, they might be able to give you an opinion, a very unbiased opinion.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes when somebody loves you so much,
of course,
it's sometimes going to be hard for them to be like unbiased.
Yeah.
So
I do agree with. So
Yeah.
in that aspect, I completely agree. But for me, there's nobody in this world that loves you more than your mother.
No, of course. But
Well,
then that's
I mean,
why,
again, that's subjective because some people will completely disagree with that.
Yeah, nature nurture debate.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Some people will completely disagree with that. However, for me, if I have an issue with anything, dating related, whatever it is, I'm gonna go to my mum first.
I can talk to my mum about stuff. Like
Yeah.
I will go to my mum about pretty much anything and everything because my
Yeah.
mum is not judgmental. But like I feel if I'm dealing with an independent person, somebody that isn't my mum's child. Like if
Yeah.
it was me and my brother that was arguing, it's easy to go to my mum. But I mean, having said that, she will side with my brother.
You see?
But
The thing is, I do agree there's a natural bias. And also, by the way, mothers and their sons. I have 3 brothers, so I actually really know this. But I completely agree with that. But for me, I think if dating advice, one, I feel like it's easier to go to older people for me who have been through it. And whether they've been through, for example, good relationships, bad relationships, divorce, they're remarried, not remarried, things like that, and get it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
One thing that I always respect about my mum is she will tell me the biased opinion, she'll tell me the unbiased opinion, and then she'll give me the objective truth. Do you get what I mean? And
that's cool.
Yeah, and where I see the objective truth, I'm like, okay, cool. And I think this is why me as a person is so direct as well, because I'm like, this is the good, this is the bad, but this is how it really is.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
But yeah, but that's the thing. It really depends because that is a good way to approach it. So I can appreciate why you would go to your mum.
Yeah.
Whereas like I think for most people, I think most parents will probably find it very hard to kind of separate the love they have for their children and try to be as unbiased as possible. But I think when you go to when you do
you think that's true though? I'm sorry, I keep challenging that, but I'm like, because I don't think that's true. Because Nigerian culture, the man could be doing madness and the woman could be doing madness, and they'll still say, "But he's your husband." that's why I say that. So it's in. Do you see what I mean? But do you see what I mean in that from that perspective?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I just feel like I think like my mum, for example, I know she will challenge it. I know she would be like, look, like, think before you act, because she knows that I can be like sometimes a bit like, and so she'll be like, think before you act. Like, she knows me. Nobody knows you better than your mother.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, because of their love they have for you, if you go to them and say, my husband, I don't know, he said this or he said that, they may turn around and be like, no, you can't be with them. Like I've seen mothers from an objective perspective, like, and I'm not gonna name names, but I've seen mothers hinder their children.
But I see it from both perspectives. I've seen it from both perspectives. I've seen it that way, like, no, leave him, and I've seen it where it's like, stay with him. All men are like that. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I can see it from both sides.
The thing is, it definitely isn't like, I don't think it applies to all.
Yeah.
But I definitely do feel like having somebody who's objective can sometimes, because also what I wouldn't want is for my mum to start hating my partner because I keep on going back to her with so much information.
Yeah. That's very,
like,
very.
If I tell her
that's a
everything,
good point.
do you know what I mean?
No, 100%.
And also, a lot of the time,
very, very important.
Would your mum pick up the phone to call your partner and be like, okay, so tell me what happened? Or is it always just from your perspective?
No, my mum would call my partner.
Fair. But then what about the people that where their mums don't know their partner?
Again, that's to be honest, for me, that's an interesting red flag, because why are you not?
But some people don't believe in always introducing their partners to their parents straight away.
No, I completely agree with that. But if we're in a serious relationship, like to that point, I mean, again, it depends if we're dating or not. So if we're dating, then probably not. Yeah. But if we're in a relationship and I haven't met your parents, then to me, that's a dating mistake. That's even the dating mistake that we're even talking about. Why? And if you haven't met my parents, you should be worried too.
I mean, that could be a whole nother conversation.
That's it, yeah.
But, I mean, because I think, again, it probably goes down to boundaries, because some people are like, they will date, and they can maybe date 100+ people, but they'll only bring a certain number of people. Maybe like after, if you've passed the 6-month mark, then they'll bring you to the home and you can meet your parents. And then some people are more like, no. Before I even say yes to you, you're meeting my mum today. No. Some people are like, you have to meet my mum before I can make a decision on whether or not I can get into a relationship with you.
Fair.
Some people like, and I know people that have been like that.
Not fair. Because
their mums know them best, and so they feel like she's the best person to make that decision for me. But anyway, I think we're going off topic.
We are. So back to dating mistakes. Is there anything else
Well, do you know what I think would be quite interesting? What about dating on like online dating mistakes? Wow.
Before we go into that, before we talk about online dating mistakes, I do have one or two more things. I think one thing for me is, as well, dating mistakes is don't hold on to a dead situation. If the situation is done, please, baby, let it go. Like, don't stress yourself. And then another thing is, us women have the tendency to kind of drag things out when we don't need to.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And just following on from that is trust your gut instincts.
Yeah.
If something feels off, the likelihood is it probably is off.
Yeah.
And if something feels good, then run with it. Do you know what I mean? Enjoy it. Don't try and sabotage yourself. So those are the last two things from me.
Yeah, with online dating, I think it's definitely something that a lot of people are doing in this modern day.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people, it's become somewhat of a norm. I think a few years ago, it was such a like, whoa, like we're not going to kind of like, we can't, it's such a taboo, we can't talk about it. But like a lot of people are like dating now. It's becoming very much like socially accepted. So many successful stories have come from it. And
so many. Like, I actually have a couple of friends, and I absolutely love, like, one of them, I love their relationship. Every time I see them, I'm like, you found your person. But they met online.
Yeah.
And beautiful. Every time I see them, I'm just obsessed.
Yeah.
Another one of my friends as well, married recently. They met online as well a couple of years ago. So I feel like it might have been a taboo back then, but it's not now, and it doesn't need to be.
No, definitely not. I don't think it needs to be a taboo at all. I think like a lot of successful stories have come from it.
Yeah.
And I think it's especially in this modern day where we're moving into such a tech space, you know, technology is the basis of so many things.
Yeah.
And now dating as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like with dating online, some of the mistakes that I feel like some people make would be not being themselves. I feel like a lot of people will put up filtered pictures.
Okay, that's like
a lot of people.
Do you know what? I have a question, yeah. If you have to filter every picture, are you pretty? Are you pretty? That's what.
Jummy!
No, it's actually, I'm throwing it out there. I just want to know. Honestly, because it comes to my mind sometimes. I'm like, I wonder. So, because again, I feel like, so again, I know people that will say, I'd rather meet a woman in real life and then chat to her online fully. I don't mind talking to her online because at least that way I'm not disappointed. And you know what I mean? And then some people go on dates and it's like, you look nothing like your picture.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, my dear friend, the same one that I spoke about in the episode about the coffee date.
Yeah.
Would basically say that he would take a girl to swimming on the first date. This boy needs help. We need to pray for him. But it's like, it goes back to a lot of guys do feel like a lot of girls feel will kind of like cover themselves and pretend to look a certain type of way. But then even with filters, we can even go on to talking about people's makeup and how they apply, like, do you know what I mean? Is there a limit to how much makeup a woman should wear?
I feel like a woman should be able to do what she wants, to be honest. But again, obviously men will argue differently to that. So just to, again, obviously we're going to wrap this up quickly, but soon. But have you seen, there was a couple and the woman had lots of like work done. And then, this is really bad, but when they had a child, he said the baby was ugly. So in quotation marks, I say ugly. And then when he saw what she was like kind of before surgery and before the makeup, he filed for a divorce.
Yes, I saw that.
So it's like, where is the line? And that's why I said, if you have to filter every picture, are you pretty? Yeah.
I think it's more to do with self-esteem issues. I think like beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
100%.
And I think that ultimately you know, it's more to do with self-esteem. I think you just need to work on yourself and learn to love yourself with all your bumps and your lumps and your curves and your straights and all of that. And
I love that.
Yeah. So once you love yourself, then you won't feel the need for filters. I'm not saying that I'm opposed to filters. I sometimes put them on.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I can also, people that know me will know that I walk around with no makeup on. Yeah. You know, I'm very free with who I am. I love myself. And it's been a work in progress, but I've definitely got there. But going back to dating mistakes online, I think, just be mindful that you are as transparent as possible. Be you, be true to who you are.
Yeah.
Don't cover yourself too much. You know, by putting filters on and things like that. I think definitely ask questions, like we mentioned in the normal dating world. I think definitely take that to online dating as well. Definitely ask loads of questions when you're dating somebody and getting to know them, making sure that they're right for you. And also just be an honest person. Don't lie.
Yeah. So I think just to wrap it up in terms of general dating mistakes, so online and in person, is trust your gut instincts.
Yeah.
heal yourself. Go to somebody complete as opposed to going to them at 50%.
Yeah.
Listen to some of your friends' advice or your parents, or have an accountability partner.
Yeah.
And what else did we say out there? What else did we throw out there?
Trust your gut instinct.
I think I said that one.
Oh, okay. Be intentional.
Yes, date for intention as opposed to attention. So make sure you're asking him questions. And like you said, be you.
Be you.
Be you. I think that's the main thing.
Oh my God. I'm so big on this. I think you should really, if you're struggling, definitely learn to thrive in your singleness. Learn to love yourself. Be you. Be your complete self. And if he's going to love you for that, then you're onto a winner.
Guys, if there's anything that we have missed, please feel free to comment them.
Yes.
We cannot wait to hear from you.
Absolutely.
And on that note, we'll wrap this up with a cheers.
Yes. Like, subscribe, and share, guys.